Just a quick warning out there for all you listeners before we get started. This presentation was done by a graphic designer who likes to use the word a lot and has very unorthodox presenting methods. So, all apologies for the informal quality of the narrative. Thanks. Hey there, my name is Jared, and I feel like I'm talking to the computer screen right now, but what I'm really doing is explaining a Flash application and interface that I created that's documenting my Chickasaw family lineage from the last 250 years. So I guess I'll go ahead and get started with explaining this. If this was some sort of web application or DVD application, this would be the first screen that you would be confronted with. Basically what I've split this into is documentation of my family lineage in terms of heritage and migration. Heritage being the left side with the family tree and migration being the right side with the map. So basically what you would do with this is you would click on either here to enter the program. So if I wanted to start with my heritage, I would click the family tree and I would be taken to this screen, which is basically a navigable family tree in which you could click on any icon on the family tree and view information about that specific person. I would be the top icon on this tree, and the people below me would be my relatives, and it's color-coded depending on whether you have direct lineage or not. So if you wanted to zoom in on this thing, you would be able to click it and look at each name closer and look at who married who and who is the son or the daughter of who, and how my Chickasaw lineage has bounced back and forth through my father's side of the family over the years. So basically that's how the family tree operates. Also, as you can see on the left side here, I've made a little dialogue box in the sense that you could either play a voice narrative talking about this, or you could look at this little box and see who the person is, what their relationship is to me, and their defining characteristics that are shown visually by each person's icon, which will come into play later. So, if we wanted to go to the migration after this, we would go up to our left tabs here and click on migration. So basically this is what you would be confronted with whenever you click on the migration tab. This is a map of the entire United States as it is today, and a list of ancestors down here on the bottom basically. So if you wanted to zoom in on this map, you would just zoom up on it and you would see that things are pretty detailed here. There is a pull-out map key that you could look at here that defines national capitals, state capitals, cities, landmarks, counties, migration routes, and territories. And you could turn any of these things on or off depending on how detailed you wanted the map or how isolated you wanted the map. So if you really wanted to just look at migration routes, you could turn everything off but migration routes. We'll turn that back on. But if you wanted to, look at specific things on the map, like the Natchez Trace, you could click on the or hover over the Natchez Trace, get an action, and click on it, and you would be taken to a secondary information screen that will let you view photos of the actual thing and information about it. Let's go back to the map. Okay, so as you can see down here on the bottom, you can pull left to right to view people in the family and scroll through, going left to right. The years progress all the way up to me until the present day. So basically what you would do with this is each person is presented with three icons. There is a personal information icon on the far left, a family tree icon in the middle, and a migration icon on the right. So if I was to click on my personal information icon, it would bring me to this screen, which is another secondary information screen. Just like you would find on the map, you could view photos of the person and information about that person. Personal narrative written by myself. So let's go back to the map here. So if you wanted to click on my family tree icon here, you would be taken back to the Heritage tab, and you could see who this is, their relationship to me, their defining characteristics, and hear a little voice narrative about them. So let's go back to the migration interface here. So if we were to want to view migration patterns on a specific person, let's say Levi Colbert, who was my sixth great grandfather who lived from 1759 through 1834, we would scroll back to him, click his migration pattern, and he would show up on the map with his corresponding icon and color. As you can see, he is on the tab on the upper right on the timeline, and his lifespan is represented on the timeline, which goes in 25-year intervals. As you can see, he lived from 1759 to 1834. He died during the Indian Removal Act. So this would be where he would be born. If you would grab the scrubber bar and pull it, you could see that he traveled to Washington, D.C. And talked with President Andrew Jackson about the Indian Removal Act. And if you pulled down further to the end of his life, you would see that he died on the Natchez Trace at Buzzard's Roost. So you could document just one person doing that. There's also an option, if you go back to the Select Bio tab, to view all, which would bring you to this screen, which documents everybody in my family of Chickasaw lineage at one time. So basically what you could do is pull from 1760 to 2010 on this scrubber bar and see who was alive at what period of time and what kind of events on the timeline that spurred migration patterns. So if we start down here by the Revolutionary War, we see Levi Colbert over here on the Natchez Trace. If we were to pull to the middle of the timeline, we would see other relatives with Chickasaw lineage after the Indian Removal Act that have all moved to Bryan County, Oklahoma, and you would be able to click on their icons and access corresponding information about that. Now, if you were to pull further, you could see that after the Great Depression, my father and my grandfather now reside in the Texas Panhandle, and I have ended up in Knoxville again, which is quite interesting because, in a sense, it seems like I've kind of come full circle and gotten back to where everything started again, literally 230 miles from where Levi Colbert died. So as you can see, you could hover over this on the timeline and access people's information and really try to understand what events within history have influenced my family's migration and heritage, and really see how I got to where I am today through my personal family history and the events that have caused migration within my family. Well, that's all I have for today. I hope you've enjoyed the very informal presentation. If you have any questions, please visit my website shown here or send me an email. Thanks. Have a great day.